Okay. Episode number 24 and a half.
24.1 maybe.
24.1, yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
Or 0.24.01.
Yeah. Welcome to
We need a reference number now. We actually need to change all these numbers.
Why?
Because Rich told us.
Oh, yeah, right. Semantic versioning is useless now.
Yeah,
okay.
Ever incrementing numbers. Although in our case, actually, there's no such thing as a version. This is just every new episode of this thing is just its own.
It's a new value.
It's adding. Yeah. It's adding to the dependencies.
Yeah.
So it doesn't break anything.
And people are very dependent upon this podcast now. So this is awesome. You know, we're creating Clojure junkies out there.
So
you heard another voice here.
Yeah. Welcome to DefN, episode number 24 or whatever.
I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you.
I'm a fan.
Okay.
So you are Joy
in
person. So you are the real Joy of Clojure.
That is what when I heard the concept Joy of Clojure, I felt very like they were talking about me.
So you were the one who inspired Fergus and Chris Hauser to write Joy of Clojure? Probably.
I had no idea.
No.
But I think the point is that you come to represent it, even if the two things were different. There's a collision.
I would be honored to represent the Joy of Clojure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a formal introduction.
You enjoy Clojure, don't you?
Let's
get rid of the names now. Okay, we'll move on.
We need to do proper introductions. Okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So we're in Berlin.
We're in
at
Berlin,
EuroClojure.
In a weird little cupboardy, staircasey room.
Yeah, we're in a panic room.
Yes.
Because they thought I don't know, the DefN should be in a panic room, and we're with our special guest Clarke. Welcome to the episode.
Thank you.
So, how did you get into Clojure?
I got in Clojure in the university in Düsseldorf. My mentor basically brainwashed all of the students into thinking functional programming is awesome and amazing. And so we had functional programming course, and I had already learned functional programming. And by the time I started Clojure, I was like, oh, this is exactly how I think. I can just write programs exactly how I think without any of the extra stuff.
So what was the rest of the functional programming stuff? Was it mostly typed stuff, or was it other there's a concepts more?
It was we started functional programming with Clojure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, my mentor in the university, he's still there, but they have the functional programming course. The Clojure is his favorite language. So, as I said, he tries to brainwash all the students.
And you're working for EuroClojure.
Yes.
So do you do Clojure there?
I do in my eternal projects. Prepping for talks and that sort of thing. I squeeze it in.
So for the people who are not at EuroClojure and who are going to see your talk online, maybe you can give a small, synopsis of your talk.
Okay. I was talking about security, web applications, like this security and simplicity. Basically, we focus so much on the simplicity aspect of web applications, where we really know which each piece is going into a web application. But as Clojure, we kind of are responsible for putting all the pieces together. And often the security piece is just forgotten because it's dependent on us to remember to put it in. So I was talking about what do we need to do then? To get security aspects.
I think you said it in talk actually that there's this, let's say, tension between the concept of a library and the concept of a framework.
Yeah.
Because I think there are definitely some frameworks out there in Clojure that are kind of fine, no problem. But you're right that generally we don't have batteries included, and trust the programmer is the motto. You can do all this stuff, but. Do you think there are some systems, there are some frameworks or libraries that put all this stuff together? Is that what you're trying to promote, or do you want to just
honestly, I haven't tried out, it's been on my to-do list forever, try out Duct, try out Pedestal, try out Luminous, try out all these cool things that I'm sure are great, and I haven't gotten around to it. But I think the main thing I was trying to communicate in the talk is that we need to pay attention to the security aspect of the app, the framework, there really isn't a framework most of the time. But even if we're using a framework like Duct or whatever framework we're using, it's still, we should look at the security aspect and see, is the security aspect there? Like, what are they doing for security? We can't just like trust the framework to do the security for us. We need to do code review. We need to look at all of the different things that need to be done. I mentioned the OWASP 2017 just came out, or is coming. I mean, they're in the process. I think by the end of July, they'll put the stamp of approval on the process. And so those are like rules, like the main vulnerabilities in web applications that developers can control. And so I use that as a checklist in the application. There's a lot of things I can't control. Like if the platform has vulnerabilities, I can't control that. But I can control in the web application itself that I'm not doing stupid stuff.
Yeah. So go on, sorry.
Emacs or something else? Okay, moving on.
I've intended to learn Emacs multiple times. I don't like it because my finger doesn't like it.
You should remap caps lock.
It doesn't work because my finger, even if I stretch it out upwards, it still pops.
Then you should try evil mode.
That was what I was intending on doing.
Yeah, use Space Max with evil mode. I know, Ray is not feeling like a minority.
But I use NightCode.
No.
NightCoder.
You're the first person.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that. I kind of use it just like now. It's a little bit of a rebellion, like against the Emacs people, because they're like, you can't program anything in NightCode. And I'm like, just you watch me.
It's like NightCoder. Interesting. Anyway, so you've been sketchnoting.
Yes.
At this conference. So two things. One, what is your impression of EuroClojure so far? And second question, sketchnoting. What, how, why, when?
I think like the two questions might be a little bit related. I love the conference. It's like I went to the JOY.EC conference recently in Germany, and I was like, it's a kind of boring talks all the time, and you're just kind of standing around, and I was like, this is kind of, it's okay. There's some interesting talks. Here I'm like, I want to go to every single talk. I want to like, and not only that, I want to talk to the people afterwards, and I want to interact with all these different people from all these different places who do my language, So I absolutely love it. And one of the reasons I also like sketchnoting is a way that you can get into the material more. So for me at least, like not for everyone, but for me, it makes it more enjoyable. Because you're like sketchnoting is basically sketching, noting, and publishing. That's what I always say is like, it's not as difficult as people think. But you just like, you have to actively listen when you're listening to a talk. And if something like piques your interest, or you think, oh, that's a good point, or that's a point that they're trying to make, like that's one of their main points, you just write it down quickly. And then in the breaks or something, you do some colors, you do like boxes around things, draw little pictures. And then, but you're kind of like completely involved in the talk the whole time. And so I always do it for me, like for sketchnoting, because I don't retain much just by listening to things.
Yeah.
If I do sketch notes, I like remember basically everything that happened in the talk.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it. And it's lots of fun. And then Twitter likes it too.
Yeah, they're really amazing. And as you can see from, I don't know, for the people who are listening to it, she's posting all these sketch notes for every talk on her Twitter account. I am Joy Clarke.
I am Joy Clarke.
Yeah. So amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you also did a little one of the deaf joke as well, which is a purely real life off-brand exercise.
Yes.
The fun of functional programming. Yeah.
For people who don't know about deaf joke, this is something that Ray is doing at Clojure conferences to annoy other people, apart from the podcast. So he is basically insulting everybody with his jokes.
I am not doing that.
So No, and the other thing that we want to talk about is we'll get back to Clojure in a bit again. And you're also we don't usually talk about our competitors on this podcast.
Okay.
But when there is quality content, we should promote it. We are adults around here. Although we hate our competitors, but still.
I'm not a competitor.
But every podcast is a competitor. Everybody.
Until we rule the world.
Yeah.
And then everyone will still be a competitor.
Actually, I don't think have you got a vegetarian podcast?
No.
Yeah. So we win. Yeah.
So it's not a competition.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So tell us about your podcast.
I'm one of the co-hosts for the Case podcast, which is conversations about software engineering, basically just inviting people on the show to kind of do an interview type situation, discussing different topics. It's not Clojure specific, so it's not really a competitor. Mm-hmm. You guys got that one locked down.
And you're not vegetarian, so...
Not.
Yeah, so...
Actually, the more Clojure podcasts we can have, the better. We've said this all along.
Yeah.
We don't see it as competition. We see growing the pie is better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to bring, my personal, goals is to get a couple of Clojure speakers on the podcast because it spreads the word about Clojure. It's more, I think that the audience is more general. It's not specific to Clojure people. So it might be like a gateway drug or something.
Yeah. I think we should tell other people to listen to DefM in your podcast.
Yeah.
And then,
it already was recorded, but I mean,
you've got more podcasts to do, haven't you? Yeah.
I do.
We can cross promote, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. So let's get back to Clojure again. So you have experimented with different templating libraries and those things right now, right? So you're learning Clojure only for the web application development, or are you looking into other things as well, like React Native? And
I do mainly Clojure like web applications. I'm not a big fan of single page applications because I make websites which are just like linked resources, and I think the practical the old fashioned model of websites is very simple actually. Like you have your server serves HTTP requests and it returns HTML, and the browser knows how to interpret the HTML, and then it can generate forms or something and then send requests back. And so that's the architecture that's there. It's worked for years. It still works. And so I do that in my web applications. I actually use I use almost no JavaScript. If I use JavaScript, I use it for progressive enhancement or something.
Oh, okay. It's like sprinkling some jQuery here and there, and then
animations
and that kind of things.
What do you do about? Fair enough. But what about React, where you have a mobile site and a desktop site or a tablet site? Because that's one of the reasons.
You basically I don't know why they say it. Let's do React for mobile. I don't really get it because for React, if you're doing a large JavaScript single page application, you have to send a lot of megabytes of data to a mobile client. And I don't see why that's more performant on a mobile device, because it's more megabytes. If you just send them HTML and the browser renders it, it works on all platforms.
React for mobile is the native thing, the React Native.
Oh yeah. That talk today was really cool.
Yeah, so
I haven't really tried that.
Yeah.
But as far as doing websites goes, it just depends on what you're doing. As soon as you're doing something where your browser is going to be open all day, or you are doing something like a rich client application in the web browser, then it makes total sense to do a single page application. It's just when I do my little websites, which are just pages that link to other pages, then I use HTML. So it has a link element. It's like an A element, and then it links to another page, and the thing is if you do that responsive first, so you develop for something that looks good on a small screen, so it'll look good on a phone, and then you can change the CSS later so it looks good on a big screen too. Change that, but you do mobile first CSS development, and then
just magically scales up.
It does. I mean, something that looks good on a mobile device will look good on a desktop device as well. Yeah. It just might be too wide, so you can break it down. When it's mobile, it's a big screen, you can put boxes next to each other. Otherwise, they're over each other.
So so far at the conference, what is your favorite talk? Well, apart from your own talk, obviously.
I liked the one yesterday on data science.
Yeah.
Now I want to like get my sketch notes. Brain is obviously connected
With
to that
Simon
one.
or with another speaker?
With the one with
Elise
the with the Star Wars theme.
Oh, right, okay. These are
Elise, yeah.
Wood.
Wood, yeah.
Yeah, and I liked the one today about the breaking down the walls.
Distributed systems.
Yeah, distributed systems. Yeah. The data science ones is that they're a bit too they're a bit abstract for me. I think it's very interesting, but I'm like, when am I gonna go and do probabilistic modeling? I don't know.
Yeah. But it seems to be like the theme of the conference this year, right? I mean, there is a lot of
it is very
AI
interesting to listen to talks about that, you know, because it is something different than what I usually do in my day job.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But I think it's hot in the industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you're at conferences like this, they want to try and. I think next year it will be all about the blockchain.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think blockchain.
So get on like the blockchain for Clojure.
Get blockchain now, and then next year
you'll be presenting at the conference.
It'll be all about blockchain next year.
Yeah. So this year it's AI, machine learning, probabilistic programming. I think there are almost like 4 talks yesterday. Almost.
There were 3 talks yesterday on either machine learning or data science, and 1 today.
Yeah, 4 talks already.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think actually Elise was a little bit negative, I thought, on where the state of the tooling was. You have to be honest about these things, of course. You know, I don't mean she's being down on it, but her honesty reveals that there are gaps in the tools. You know. But other talks are actually emphasizing that there are some tools. So it's interesting, I think. I think she's right, there are gaps, but there are still some good tools in the pipeline and in the works.
Yeah, I think more tools is always better.
Yeah.
Yeah, providing we're not kind of like spreading ourselves too thin. You know?
Yeah.
But it seems like Cortex and Onyx and all these various things are quite nice. The notebook situation doesn't seem so good. But apart from that, you know, there's stuff coming through.
I think we're getting there. Maybe we should, of course, we'll explore this more in one of the episodes. Maybe we need to get one of these people. And today we just published our discussion with Dragan, the guy who made Neanderthal that we keep hearing in practically every talk today. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, so let's get back to your game. What are your plans? What are you trying to do with Clojure, and where do you want to go with Clojure?
For me, I think it's we had an unsession yesterday about making Clojure easier for beginners. And I would personally like to see that kind of filter in more and more people to the Clojure. Like I think Clojure Bridge, what they're doing is absolutely amazing. I wish there were a Clojure Bridge near me. There's not, but I think that's absolutely amazing, and kind of like that focusing on let's make this easy for beginners, which is one of the reasons I like NightCode. You know, it's like friendly. I mean you can. Yeah, you can just open it up and then teach them Clojure, and they don't have to think about Emacs. You know, Emacs is more difficult than Clojure.
Yeah. Actually, for Java, there is something called BlueJ. I don't know if you remember or if you know.
I've never heard of that.
So there is something called BlueJ that's very specific to the to teach Java. So it's a very minimal IDE, and that's used by universities, just to quickly just write your Java code, press a button, and you can run. So there is no this ceremony of there is an ant file or I don't know Maven or whatever the shit that we need to put up with. But so I think NightCode is similar to that one as well. I mean, I tried a couple of times; it was fun, but eventually,
if you already know Emacs, then it's a no-brainer. But if you don't know Emacs yet, it's actually not very easy to learn.
That's true.
You know, there's a pretty.
But eventually you will. Curve. I mean, everybody sees the light, and then they go to Emacs, which is kind of inevitability, I think.
I'm a holdout.
He's still living in the dark ages. He'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it from us for today.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I really enjoyed your talk, Joy. Thank you very much. I hope all the people listening to this will watch it online when the videos come out fairly shortly. I think you did really well. It was a fascinating topic. I think we'll definitely hear more from you, and we'll definitely hear more about security. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And of course, I'll try to listen to Case podcast. As you know, I'm not really like a really podcast listener. But, I will try to listen to it at least once.
Okay.
I promise you that one.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.